Chosen one, listen closely, because what you're about to hear is a truth your soul has been waiting for. There comes a moment in the journey of every believer when Allah unveils what he had been hiding, when the same people who doubted you, belittled you, mocked your sincerity, and dismissed your worth suddenly fall silent as reality hits them like a wave. You are exactly who you said you were. You always were, and they were too blind to see it. They mistook your kindness for weakness, your patience for irrelevance, your silence for defeat, and your humility for emptiness, never realizing that Allah was shaping you in private, building you through trials, and preparing you through pain until the time was right for your truth to emerge. And now that Allah has opened doors they never imagined would open for you, now that He has lifted you to a level they never believed you'd reach, they are left replaying every insult, every doubt, every moment they misjudged you, feeling a humiliation that comes not from your rise, but from their own arrogance. And this script is for you, the one who stayed sincere, who stayed patient, who stayed pure-hearted, even when people tried to break you. Because now Allah is showing exactly why He allowed their doubts, and why He is forcing them to witness your rise, your vindication, and the power of your faith. Chosen one, understand this deeply. They never mocked you because you were weak. They mocked you because Allah hid your strength, your destiny, and your divine potential from their limited eyes, and in their blindness they assumed their perception was the truth. They didn't realize that Allah often conceals His chosen ones behind humble beginnings, quiet personalities, small circles, and silent battles, because He protects greatness by wrapping it in invisibility until the appointed time. So while they laughed at your dreams, rolled their eyes at your faith, dismissed your purity, underestimated your ambitions, and treated your sincerity as a joke, what they were really mocking was a version of you that Allah intentionally made small to keep you safe. And now the same people who once thought you were nothing special are starting to feel the sting of humiliation, because they're witnessing the rise of someone they swore would never rise, someone they thought had no path, no influence, no calling, but Allah was planting roots in you deeper than anything they could see. And every insult they threw at you only exposed their lack of insight, not your lack of worth. They didn't see your resilience. They didn't see your divine protection. They didn't see the angels guarding your steps. They didn't see the light Allah placed inside you, and they didn't see the destiny written for you long before they ever had an opinion. And that is why their mockery never mattered, because they mocked a version of you that existed only in their imagination, while Allah was quietly preparing the real you, the chosen you, the destined you to rise at a time when no one could deny your truth anymore. Chosen one, understand this with the depth of your soul. The humiliation they feel now is not meant to feed your ego or satisfy any desire for revenge. It is a divine awakening, a spiritual mirror that Allah has placed before them so they can confront the truth of who they became while trying to diminish who you are, because Allah, in His infinite mercy, does not expose people to destroy them, but to wake them from the sleep of arrogance, ego, and self-delusion. When they doubted your purity, when they mocked your sincerity, when they laughed behind your back, when they dismissed your dreams, when they twisted your intentions, and when they treated your loyalty like it was worthless, they thought their actions would never return to them, but Allah allowed them to walk far enough into their own darkness so that when He eventually showed them your rise, it would hit them with a force powerful enough to crack the pride sitting on their hearts. And that crack, that internal collapse, that shame, that silent burning regret is not revenge. It is a chance Allah is giving them to reflect, to repent, and to realize the weight of their actions. Their humiliation is the spiritual consequence of underestimating a soul Allah Himself was protecting, and the very reason it stings so deeply now is because they see the truth they tried to bury rising in front of their eyes, a truth they can no longer deny or control. And while it may feel satisfying to watch the justice unfold, Remember that Allah is not elevating you to look down on them. He is elevating you to show them that sincerity always wins. Humility is always honored. Arrogance destroys its own owner. And every heart that belittles a believer eventually faces its own reflections. So let them feel the weight of their humiliation, not as your victory, but as Allah's mercy upon them, a final chance to see the difference between who you were, who they chose to be, and who Allah destined you to become. Chosen one of the greatest proofs of your divine protection is that Allah placed a silence in you that spoke louder than every rumor, every lie, every accusation, and every twisted narrative they tried to spread about you. Because while they were busy manufacturing stories, exaggerating your flaws, feeding their egos through gossip, and painting you as the villain in tales they created to comfort their own insecurities, you stood still, calm and quiet, not because you were weak, but because Allah was fighting for you in ways your tongue never needed to. Your silence was a shield, a spiritual armor that preserved your honor, while their own words exposed the darkness of their hearts. And as they kept talking, something profound happened. Your silence began to echo, your stillness became a mirror, your patience revealed their character, and without you uttering a single defense, Allah slowly allowed their lies to crumble under the weight of reality. The more they spoke, the more foolish they looked. The more they tried to convince others, the more their insecurity showed. And the more they attempted to destroy your reputation, the more Allah elevated you in the eyes of the very people they tried to turn against you. And now, as truth emerges and your growth is undeniable, they feel the sting of humiliation because they know deep down that you never had to say a word. Your actions, your sincerity, your character, your consistency, and your quiet dignity proved everything they tried so hard to deny. They realize now that the war they fought was one you never even entered, that every lie they told became a rope around their own pride, and that the silence they mistook for weakness was actually your greatest strength, a sign that Allah Himself was defending you while they were busy destroying themselves with their own tongues. Chosen one of the most painful yet divinely strategic parts of your journey is realizing that Allah did not delay your rise because you were unworthy. He delayed it because the people around you were unworthy of witnessing it. And if He had elevated you earlier, their masks would have remained intact, their intentions would have stayed hidden, and their access to you would have been dangerous. So Allah, in His unmatched wisdom, kept you in a season of stillness, not to punish you, but to reveal them. He removed opportunities, slowed your progress, and held back certain blessings so that every fake friend, every pretender, every jealous heart, every secret competitor, every smiling enemy, and every snake wearing the skin of loyalty would eventually expose themselves under the pressure of time, because nothing reveals true hearts like delayed blessings. They thought your pause meant you were finished. They thought your silence meant you were defeated. They thought your lack of outward success meant your story was over. But all the while, Allah was using that pause to peel back their layers one by one until you saw them clearly: the envy in their eyes, the impatience in their speech, the insincerity in their support, the discomfort they felt when you succeeded even a little, the satisfaction they felt when you were struggling, and the subtle distance they created when they thought you would never rise. And now, as Allah begins to show signs of your elevation, the truth hits them with the weight of reality. They revealed their hearts too early, exposed their loyalty too shallowly, and showed their true colors before Allah showed yours, and that is their humiliation. So never think the delay was wasted time, because that delay protected your destiny, purified your circle, uncovered hidden envy, and ensured that when Allah finally raises you, no traitor, no manipulator, no jealous soul, and no masked enemy will be close enough to sabotage what He wrote for you. Your rise is coming, and this time, only those whose hearts stayed pure in your waiting will be allowed to rise with you. Chosen one, understand this with the depth of your soul. The regret they feel now is not merely a consequence of witnessing your rise, it is a divine testimony, a sign that Allah Himself was protecting you, guiding you, and fighting your battles behind the veil of the unseen, while they thought they had power over your life, your reputation, and your destiny. Every insult they threw, every betrayal they plotted, every word of gossip they whispered in the dark, every manipulation they engineered to make you stumble, and every attempt they made to destroy your integrity was carefully intercepted by Allah in ways that no human eye could perceive, because the Most High, in His infinite wisdom, does not allow the sincere heart to be crushed beyond what is necessary for purification and elevation, and He uses even the cruelty of others as a shield to fortify your patience, a hammer to strengthen your character, and a hidden ladder to lift you closer to the rank He destined for you long before they ever existed. While they rejoiced in what they thought was your defeat, Allah was orchestrating reversals in the background, rewriting the narrative of your life in ways they could neither imagine nor control. Doors that should have been closed were kept open for you. Opportunities that should have been lost were perfectly timed to appear at the moment you needed them most. People whose hearts were true were placed strategically in your path, and blessings that you could never earn through effort alone were granted by His wisdom and mercy, so that when the moment of realization finally came, it would not be your words that silenced them, but the manifestation of Allah's unseen favor upon your life. Their regret is the echo of Allah's justice, the natural response of hearts that recognized the truth too late, because they mistook His delay for negligence, His silence for indifference, and your patience for weakness. Yet in reality, every delay, every test, and every trial was a battlefield where Allah Himself intervened, blocking harm, neutralizing envy, countering schemes, and turning their intended destruction into a stepping stone for your elevation. And as they watch your life flourish, as they witness your dignity, as they see doors opening, blessings multiplying, respect arriving, and influence expanding, the weight of their regret crushes them from within, not because you acted vengefully, but because Allah's protection over you was absolute, complete, and visible only now to those who assumed they could rewrite your story. This is the secret that only the chosen ones understand. When you endure with sincerity, when you remain patient in trials, when you maintain faith in the unseen, and when you continue walking your path without faltering under injustice, Allah not only preserves your dignity but actively battles for you in ways that leave no trace in the physical world, so that when the tide finally turns, the contrast between His favor upon you and their misjudgment of you becomes painfully undeniable, and their regret becomes a living witness to the divine orchestration that elevated you every sleepless night. Every whispered lie, every betrayal, every attempt to diminish your worth, all of it was intercepted, transformed, and redirected into a force that propelled you toward your destiny. And in that realization, they finally see the full picture, that they were never capable of harming you, that their actions only revealed their own flaws, that Allah's unseen hand had been guiding, protecting, and elevating you all along, and that every moment of their doubt and every ounce of their envy had been used by the Most Merciful to magnify your blessings, secure your path, and prepare a life for you that was far beyond anything they could ever take away, distort, or destroy. Their regret is not your triumph, but it is a reflection of Allah's unseen justice, proof that His protection is absolute, and evidence that the one who remains sincere, patient, and faithful in the face of hostility is always destined to be vindicated in ways that only the most wise can orchestrate, leaving those who misjudged, underestimated, and opposed you humbled, exposed, and painfully aware that no human scheming can compete with the divine favor that has always been reserved for His chosen ones. Chosen one, understand this with clarity and depth. The greatest shock to those who doubted you, mocked you, or tried to diminish your worth is not in your words, your explanations, or your attempts to justify yourself. It is in your transformation. The undeniable rise of a soul Allah has been shaping in silence. A rise so profound, so complete, and so authentic that it exposes their ignorance, arrogance, and envy all at once. They watched you in their limited perspective, seeing only struggles, delays, and setbacks, and assumed that the person they judged, criticized, and disrespected would remain small, broken, or defeated. Yet what they failed to understand is that every trial, every hardship, every moment of patience, every act of faith, and every silent struggle they overlooked was a step in your transformation that Allah Himself orchestrated in the unseen, gradually refining your character, strengthening your resolve, purifying your intentions, and preparing you for a level of influence, wisdom, and presence that their minds could never comprehend. And now, as they see you walking with confidence, radiating light, carrying dignity, attracting respect, and manifesting blessings in ways that were once impossible in their eyes, the weight of their misjudgment hits them like a mirror, reflecting their own shortcomings, their hypocrisy, and the arrogance that blinded them to the truth of your potential. They are shocked because they realize that while they were busy measuring your present against their limited understanding, Allah was building your future, aligning people, opening doors, orchestrating divine timing, and elevating you in ways that make their criticism appear foolish and their envy appear meaningless, leaving them humiliated, resentful, and painfully aware that they underestimated not only you but Allah's plan. And the most powerful part of this shock is that it comes without your intervention. You did not have to argue, prove yourself, or fight back, because transformation itself is the ultimate revelation, and your rise, your healing, your growth, and your success become a living testament to the mercy, wisdom, and protection of Allah, showing them in ways words never could that the one they tried to suppress, ridicule, and dismiss was always destined for greatness. And every act of patience, every tear, every prayer, and every moment of faith has now converged into a reality so undeniable that their humiliation is not just inevitable, it is the proof that Allah's chosen ones can never be stopped, that sincerity and steadfastness always triumph, and that the true shock lies not in what they see, but in the realization that their judgments were shallow, their hearts were blinded, and their attempts to break you were powerless against the divine transformation Allah Himself was executing within you, chosen one. Understand this with the depth of your soul and the quiet certainty that comes only from faith. The greatest honor Allah grants His chosen ones is never measured by the fleeting opinions, recognition, or praise of people, because human approval is temporary, fragile, and often blind. But the honor that comes from Allah is eternal, unshakable, and visible in ways that transcend worldly perception, and it begins the moment you choose Him above all else. The moment you decide that His satisfaction outweighs every insult, every doubt, every slight, every betrayal, and every attempt by others to diminish your worth. While the world rushes to judge, while hearts grow cold with envy, while tongues spread gossip and deceit, and while the approval of people becomes a currency many chase, the believer who chooses Allah walks in a realm of divine favor, where no human scheming, no rumor, no betrayal, no jealousy, and no injustice can touch their dignity, their blessings, or the unfolding of their destiny, because Allah sees what no one else sees, hears what no one else hears, and rewards the unseen struggles, the private prayers, the silent tears, the restrained anger, the patience under injustice, and the resilience in moments when nobody is watching. And that reward manifests in ways that are often invisible at first, yet profoundly life-changing, because the elevation of a soul chosen by Allah is never superficial. It is a transformation that touches every corner of life, from character to opportunity, from relationships to influence, from peace of heart to clarity of purpose. They may have mocked you, criticized you, or doubted you for not bending to their expectations, for not seeking their praise, for remaining patient when they thought you weak, for forgiving when they expected retaliation, and for walking humbly when they demanded attention. But what they failed to see was that every act of faith, every moment of restraint, every time you chose prayer over conformity, humility over ego, sincerity over deception, and obedience over the temporary comfort of worldly validation, was a seed of honor that Allah Himself nurtured, multiplied, and prepared to bloom in full visibility at the perfect time. And now, as your rise becomes undeniable, as blessings flow, as doors open, and as respect, influence, and divine favor envelop you, the world, including those who once doubted, mocked, or betrayed you, witnesses the undeniable truth that you were never relying on their approval, and that the one who chooses Allah above all else cannot be shaken by their opinions, cannot be diminished by their insults, and cannot be stopped by their envy. Their validation was never needed, their judgment was never relevant, and their recognition was never the measure of your worth, because Allah's honor is far greater, far stronger, and far more enduring than anything human hands can offer. And in that honor you find not just vindication, but peace, clarity, and the certainty that your life is perfectly guided, protected, and elevated according to His divine wisdom. Your rise is proof that faith, sincerity, and patience in the unseen always triumph over arrogance, deception, and worldly judgment, and that the one who chooses Allah over approval is not only vindicated before the world, but elevated in the eyes of the Most High, blessed in ways they cannot comprehend, and transformed into a living testament that divine honor surpasses every human measure, proving to yourself, to the world, and to those who doubted you, that the approval of Allah alone is enough to secure your dignity, your destiny, and your eternal reward, and that when you place Him first above all others, you are not only protected from humiliation, but exalted in ways that leave your critics, your enemies, and even the indifferent, utterly humbled, exposed, and in awe of the one who chose you and prepared you for a level of honor and recognition that could never be reached by anyone who seeks validation anywhere but from Him. Chosen one, take a moment and let this truth sink into your heart. Every insult you endured, every doubt they cast upon you, every betrayal, every moment of humiliation, every whispered lie, and every attempt to diminish your light was never wasted, because Allah was silently fighting your battles, protecting your honor, and elevating your soul in ways that no human eye could witness and no worldly measure could comprehend. Today, as the truth of who you are unfolds before the very eyes of those who doubted you, as doors open, blessings multiply, dignity shines, and the world begins to see the reflection of what Allah has been shaping in you all along. Understand this: their humiliation is not your triumph, their regret is not your victory, and their shock is not your revenge, but all of it is a mirror of Allah's justice, mercy, and infinite wisdom, proving that the chosen one who remains sincere, patient, humble, and faithful will always be vindicated, honored, and elevated in ways that are beyond human comprehension. So walk forward with a heart that knows its worth comes from Allah alone, a soul that understands that every trial was a training ground, every delay a preparation, every moment of silence a shield, and every act of faith a seed of blessings yet to bloom. Because when the world finally sees the rise of a chosen one, it is not a coincidence. It is a manifestation of divine protection, divine timing, and divine reward. And your story, from the hardships that tested you to the triumphs that define you, will forever stand as living proof that Allah sees everything, hears everything, fights for those who remain patient, and elevates the soul that chooses Him above all else. Remember this always. They may doubt, they may mock, they may regret, but Allah has already honored you, vindicated you, and destined you for a light and a level that no one can take away, and the peace, confidence, and fulfillment you feel now is not only your reward, but a sign to the world and a testament to your faith that the chosen one's path is always protected, always guided, and always victorious in the eyes of the Most High.